During a U.S. Department of Education webinar, a teacher created a firestorm after saying this.
Some ways that we can show our support for trans and non-binary students are just to clean up that language, be more precise. We can be more accurate and be more inclusive. So I would say, no, it's not women that produce eggs, it's ovaries that produce eggs. That's accurate, that's precise. We're acknowledging that not all women produce eggs, and also not all egg producers are women, for example. And we're teaching students that language matters.
Sam Long is a science teacher at Denver South High School in Denver, Colorado. Parents Defending Education's president, Nicole Neily, joining us this morning with more on this video that's caused quite the controversy. Good morning, Nicole. Welcome.
Good morning.
So tell us more about this webinar. Is this what Long teaches to students, and is this what the U.S. Department of Education is suggesting science teachers tell their students?
Yes, unfortunately, these kinds of lessons are commonplace at this point across the country. And I feel like I am old enough to remember when biology teachers actually taught biology. But that being said, I also remember when English teachers also taught pronouns. And so 2022 is a strange year for education. Absolutely. Sadly, this is something that is being pushed by the Department of Education through their rulemaking, when their proposed rules for Title IX, where they want to basically eliminate the idea of what a woman is by including sexual orientation and gender identity into the definition of Title IX, through to letters that they have sent out saying that gender identity is a protected class and will be going forward. And so it's definitely something that is concerning because it's confusing to students as well as to administrators and faculty. So it's something we're keeping a close eye on because so many tips that we receive at this point are on this issue of gender identity. And
this particular teacher is an activist for, quote, gender inclusive biology curriculum resources. So he promotes this to educators across the country. What is gender inclusive biology, and what is the goal of this curriculum?
The goal of the curriculum is to be inclusive. So it says you must affirm what a student asserts his or her identity is. And so it is certainly, it's a school of thought that is becoming more and more mainstream. But it is something that I think comes into conflict, not only with a lot of people's personal values, but as well as many people's traditional conception of what biology is. And so although it may be a trend right now, it's something that a lot of people are deeply uncomfortable with, both students, families, as well as teachers and faculty. And so, again, it's something that, although this is being pushed by the Department of Education, is certainly far from being accepted by the vast majority of the population.
Specifically, the phrase, not all women produce eggs, and not all egg producers are women. What is Denver Public Schools' response, and what are the students' and parents' reaction to this?
There has been, sadly, very little response from them, which is appalling because let's think about the impact that the pandemic has had on student achievement overall. How have Denver Public Schools been performing on basic proficiency on reading, writing, mathematics, and science? You know, pre-pandemic, it was not good to start with. And now that students are back in session, they're learning things like this. It's questionable whether students will ever be able to make up that kind of achievement. So it really, you know, it's concerning in that it's setting Denver students back even further and making them not competitive in a national, you know, push to trying to get to college eventually.
And I'm just curious, what happens to the teachers who challenge Long's thinking and this curriculum?
Those teachers are brought into line. Sadly, you know, we hear from teachers all the time who are unhappy that they're being obligated to teach lessons like this, either by their district, by their state curriculum standards, that they're being forced to do lessons like this. And so teachers, more often than not, do not speak up because they fear retaliation by their peers, they fear being fired, they fear losing their pensions. And so even if they're unhappy, they largely are not speaking up, which is something that should worry parents, because if teachers feel that this is the wrong thing, yet they go along with it anyway, you know, that's not the kind of courage that we need in the classroom these days. We need people to stand up and do what's right.
For a parent that's watching who might be concerned about maybe what the biology teacher or what they are being taught in public schools across the country, what can they do?
We encourage teachers or families to ask. Ask the teacher. You know, we more flies with honey. Ask very politely, you know, I'd like more information about this. I want to help my child. This is not a partisan issue. We know that children do better when families are involved in their children's education. So ask. And if you don't get the answer you want, you don't get enough information, ask somebody else. Ask the principal, ask the school board, file a public records request, but don't give up, because if you have a bad feeling in your gut and you're worried about it, then no, the chances are you might be onto something. And so you deserve to know. And if you feel that what your child is learning is not in line with your values or what you think your child should be learning, do something about it. So we encourage people to reach out to us if they have questions or if they have tips about what their children are learning.
Parents Defending Education, Nicole Neily, thanks for joining us this morning here on the National Desk. We appreciate it.